Hello, Kim here. I have got so much information about Tim Ballard that has just been coming like crazy the last couple of days. So, because obviously my prior way of trying to do this, taking notes, watching videos, and then typing up show notes isn't working. So, this one I'm going to read the statements of the plaintiffs from the civil lawsuit that was filed. And hopefully this works and I can get information out quicker. This first one I'm going to read is just the plaintiff statements. The first plaintiff that's listed here is WW, which has nothing to do with what her real name is. It's just they chose to name her WW for privacy reasons. And it says on April 19th, 2021, she reached out to Ballard via Instagram because she was dating a man that she thought might be involved in trafficking. WW didn't know what else to do, who else to turn to about her suspicions, but she trusted that Ballard and OUR were the right resource to report to, since they work with law enforcement to fight trafficking. Total right thing to think. Then on April 20th of 2021, Ballard responded via Instagram and invited WW to his office in Lehi, Utah, to discuss her concerns. As WW came into Ballard's office, she perceived that OUR employees were suspicious and leery of her. WW gave Ballard information about the man she had been dating, with whom she had growing suspicion. WW gave Ballard information about the man... Oh, I just read that. Ballard told WW to give him the man's phone number and he would give it to his guys to check him out. Ballard then said he noticed from WW's Instagram profile she was an actor. Ballard asked if WW had ever considered going undercover. WW answered no, but she would definitely consider it. Ballard had her sign an NDA and told her how important it was that she never speak a word to anyone, not even friends or boyfriends, because people's lives were on the line. He explained further the gravity and severity of what was at stake in order to protect women and children and the ops. WW was not given a copy of the NDA. Ballard then proceeded to tell her that female operators were crucial to OUR's work. Ballard told her about a tactic they used called the couples ruse. Ballard explained that they were running into problems on operations when male operators did not engage in sex acts. He said that if male operators didn't touch the women or children, the traffickers would figure out that it was a sting and would create danger for all. Ballard told her how the couple... Excuse me. Take a little drink of water here. Ballard told her how the couple's ruse came to him by revelation from God, as there was no way he could have thought up such a brilliant ruse. Ballard then told her that if she would act like the jealous girlfriend, then she could block for Ballard, and Ballard would block for her. Ballard explained that she was like a cock blocker. That's what the statement says, the lawsuit statement. Ballard expanded expounded by saying that he would take women into couples massage parlors or strip clubs and act as a kinky couple ready to do sexual and deviant things. But that there would be no kissing or touching genitals, except for his arms around the woman's waist or maybe on your back pocket, etc. And that it would be a super safe, because there would be a team around them, around the corner, watching for everybody's safety. Ballard explained to her that if she agreed to go on an op, she would be part of communication by watching and reporting on activities surrounding the sting. Ballard told her that he preferred to hire actors because cops could not act very well, resulting in the traffickers not being fooled. Ballard explained the traffickers can smell cops a mile away. Ballard asked her if what she thought, and she responded that she was on board because she was a rape survivor herself and felt strongly that she should help women and children. Ballard responded by saying, "You're a survivor yourself? Wow, that would be a really powerful story." Ballard then instructed her to get training and that he would go over more details later. Ballard then told her that there was a fast approaching operation and that he really needed someone quickly. On April 21st, 2021, Ballard put WW in a text thread with defendant Matt Cooper. Ballard texted WW from a phone number. Ballard instructed her to label as Brian for safety purposes. We'll find that Brian Black was like a operation name that Tim Ballard used. The phone number was, and I'll just give the last four, it was 1139. Ballard then introduced WW to Matt Cooper and informed her that she was being considered for an ops position and that she should get a background check in order to attend a survivor's graduation. Ballard further stated that the ops team would meet that Friday around noon, where Ballard would run her through tacticals and finish the conversation. On April 23rd, she attended a survivor's graduation. Matt Coop, was there with Ballard and WW. Ballard told WW prior that her op name would be Kelly. But then Coop had introduced WW as WW. WW was confused as she was afraid Matt had compromised the op, as Ballard had earlier stressed how serious everything was. WW asked Matt Cooper if she was compromised because he had said her real name. Cooper responded no, and reassured her that she was safe. Ballard, I can read all this, but getting it to come out of my mouth is a different thing. Ballard had told WW to keep track of all her hours while preparing and working on the op. Ballard understood she was a single mom at the time. Ballard asked her if she would go on an upcoming op because the original girl could not go. WW was moving by herself, so she explained that she could not go on an op on such short notice. Ballard responded by offering to pay for a moving van and movers to help so WW could go. WW felt honored by the generosity of OUR. Ballard told her that they would be talking a lot because they had to create a relationship to convince the traffickers that they were a couple. So they needed to get to know one another. In some other training, Ballard brought up some of Hugh W., a person WW actually knew prior to meeting Ballard, and who was a huge part of WW's healing from her own abuse. Ballard told her that Hugh was not to be trusted along with many other people in his organization. She was sad to hear about Hugh, but she trusted Ballard. Ballard told her the other operators would fall in love with him, so he had to change operators often. Ballard also asked her to never betray him. Ballard mentioned a journalist who wrote a negative article about him, who he said was just out to get him and the cars. But no one believed her. Let me start that phrase over again. Ballard mentioned a journalist who wrote a negative article about him, who he said was just out to get him and the cause. But no one believed her, and he buried her. Ballard then told WW that text messages needed to be sent via Signal, and everything, including messages via Signal or their regular phone messaging, was to be deleted every night because it was imperative to the safety of the case. So I guess Signal is a special app you can get for messaging. Ballard warned that if anything got leaked, it could put people's lives at risk. On April 28, 2021, WW received an email from Hugh V asking her about Ballard's relationship with her. WW immediately told Ballard about the email. Ballard said his team was just looking out for Ballard and testing WW's loyalty to him, and that WW had passed. At one of the training sessions, Ballard was briefing WW for the upcoming op. Ballard dismissed the others from his office, telling them he needed to prepare her for their mission. Nope. See, even Gus doesn't like what's going on. Then get down. As WW sat on a couch in Ballard's office, Ballard told her that he needed to get to know more about her so they were more comfortable with each other. Ballard asked, "Stop." Somebody walking across the street. He's not happy. Gus, enough. As WW sat on the couch in Ballard's office, Ballard told her he needed to get to know more about her so they were more comfortable with each other. Ballard asked questions about WW's current relationship, her children, and the trauma. I think this was not typed well. Ballard asked questions about WW's current relationship, her children, and the traumatic abuse as a child. Ballard again said that it would make an amazing story. Ballard came over to sit by WW and kept getting closer to WW until at one point Ballard put his hand on WW's leg and caressed her inner thigh. WW immediately tensed up and thought that Ballard was testing her and that she should just keep talking as if nothing were happening. She kept talking as Ballard stroked her neck. Ballard finally got frustrated that she wasn't responding to his advances and asked WW, "Why are you not responding?" She replied, "Because I know you're testing me." Ballard said he needed to know WW was attracted to him. Ballard asked if she was attracted to him, to which WW said, "Not in that way." Ballard asked how WW could convince traffickers of chemistry then. WW told him she did not need to practice because she was a trained actor and she was trained to get into character when in role only on action and out on cut. So basically she's saying, if we're on an op and it comes to it, I can turn it on like that. And then when it's over, I can turn it off like that. Ballard then stated this was the practice he mentioned and that WW needed to be attracted to him in order to convince traffickers they were a kinky couple. Ballard told WW he must know that she could pull this off as a prior female op went out on a mission once and couldn't perform, so all those donor dollars were wasted and the mission to save the kids failed. At one point, WW felt sheepish, thinking she knew better than Ballard. She told him she could turn it on for just a moment for him to see her as an actor. She could turn it on and then turn it right back off. Ballard agreed. WW approached Ballard in the hallway outside of Ballard's office and put her hand on his chest and spoke to him seductively, saying she could turn it on if she needed to, and then pulled back immediately. But at that point, Ballard got excited and said, "Oh, good. Okay, you can do this." I just need to move you guys. WW approached Ballard, we just read that. WW asked Ballard if there were cameras in the building. He panicked and looked around and said, No, we're good." Ballard continued in his couple's ruse, instructing WW that from the moment they got inside a plane, heading to a location, inside cars, walking on streets, anywhere except for this safe house, they were supposed to be in character as a kinky couple because the traffickers have people watching them everywhere. On May 3rd, WW met at OUR offices with a hair and makeup artist to teach WW how to apply fake tattoos on Tim and herself in the upcoming Puerto Vallarta, Mexico op. May 5th, 2021. OUR employee Mike Parenta made the arrangements for WW to fly out to Dallas, Texas. WW and Ballard stayed in a house in Irving, Texas so that they could meet with Glenn Beck before flying out from DFW to Puerto Vallarta the next day. OUR employee David Jacobs and Ballard and WW met at the Irving house and wrote a note to them that read in part, "Go get 'em, XOXOXO." at Glenn Beck's home, Ballard spoke about how he had to remove the cancer from OUR and that many were out to get him. Beck sympathized with Ballard, sharing his own experiences about how people could try to get him and that he had to hit rock bottom with people going through his trash. He told Ballard that they may have to go through that too. Ballard said he already hit rock bottom when he realized so many were out to get him and had to make changes in his company. On May 6th, Ballard and WW flew to Puerto Vallarta. Ballard went into immediate character from DFW Airport to Puerto Vallarta. Ballard was all over WW with his hands on her buttocks and his hands wrapped through her legs, sitting on the plane. She and Ballard finally arrived at the very large safe house that overlooks the ocean and has a private chef. The secondary team stayed on in a second location. WW had her own room and Ballard had his. Now remember, they're in a safe house, so they should be able to stay in separate rooms, not a problem. It's a safe house. There shouldn't be traffickers in there. The next day, while the chauffeur drove Ballard and her around, Ballard was in the backseat groping WW. The windows were dark, but Ballard insisted that they had to remain in character. On at least one occasion, Ballard's hand got quite close to WW's groin area. WW told him that he didn't have to be so close, so he pulled back. Ballard explained that they were going out to find massage parlors. WW asked him how she could avoid having to get naked in those massage parlors. Ballard responded by telling her that it would be fine if she stayed in her underwear. Ballard said WW could lay face down on the massage table and he could lay face up so that they could talk to one another in their ears. Oh, they had to be really close and whisper in each other's ears. WW expressed concern to Ballard, telling him that she knew the massage therapist would want her to take off her bra, and she didn't want to do that. So she said her story would be that she had a boob job and she could not take off her bra for support reasons. Ballard assured WW that he would help express that, as the escorts would be speaking in Spanish. Ballard is fluent in Spanish, but WW is not. Ballard located a massage parlor and instructed the driver to drop them off. They were then taken to the back massage room where they undressed and got onto the table. WW was in a bra and underwear. 2 women came into the room and Ballard started to speak to them in Spanish. The 2 women took off their own clothes down to their underwear too and started to massage WW and Ballard. Ballard questioned the girls, which then led to talking to them about a party and asking him for frescas, young girls. Ballard instructed WW that if the escorts got too close to touching them, the code word was fuck me, which was WW's job, to convince the woman that WW needed to fuck her boyfriend and get the woman out of the room. Sorry about that language. I try really hard to not use cursey words like that, especially here on YouTube. But that's what's in the statement. One of the girls undid WW's bra, and WW responded, "Oh, no," and told Ballard, whose op name was Brian, to tell the woman in Spanish why she needed to keep her bra on. Ballard repeated that what WW said, but only in English, not Spanish, and the woman did not care. Ballard said the code word, and WW immediately pretended to be jealous, telling the escorts not to touch Ballard. WW next said the code word because one of the women went straight for WW's crotch. Ballard did not respond to protect her, so WW repeated it again. Again, Ballard did not respond to protect her, at which point WW understood that she needed to get the woman out of their room, and she may be compromised and was in extreme danger. As part of the ruse, WW kissed Ballard's neck and rubbed his belly and told the woman to leave as she needed to F her boyfriend. However, the woman just stood back to watch. Excuse me. WW was very scared that the woman would not believe them and leave her alone. WW told them again to leave, this time with enough anger that the women left. Once the women left, WW realized she was topless on top of Ballard's chest. WW immediately got off and got dressed. As a trafficker had shown up and a conversation ensued, WW and Ballard left this massage parlor, and WW immediately had a panic attack. Ballard told her, Ballard told her, "You are burning up," as she was burning up and was shaking. She could barely walk away from shaking that way about what had just happened. Ballard gave her a few minutes to breathe, and they went off to the next parlor. I'm going to say I really hope these women were, how do I want to say it? That they were like contract employees, not actual OUR employees for this to happen, because this is grounds for sexual harassment, if you ask me. I can see why these women filed their stories. Over the next 3 days, Ballard and WW had similar experiences in massage parlors across Puerto Vallarta. After one such sting in which WW attained some phone numbers of traffickers, Ballard screamed WW's accolades in the car after, saying he couldn't believe that WW was able to do so, as she got so many phone numbers that would allow OUR to save so many children. WW told Ballard that she was sorry about what happened at the first massage parlor, to which Ballard responded that it was okay because he and his other operators would accidentally kiss because they were so in character. Yeah, they would just kiss because they were in character. Ballard also revealed that they would often sleep together in the safe house next to each other, snuggling because ops are so traumatic. Ballard said that sometimes things would happen in his couple's ruse, and he would just have to ejaculate as things got too steamy. Okay. That sounds really... WW told Ballard, "That's interesting. That won't be me." At one of the parlors, the female traffickers and Ballard were talking about something, to which the female came directly to WW and grabbed her breasts and crotch. WW said the code word, trying to play it off, and looked at Ballard for reprieve. Ballard just watched. At one point, said female trafficker brought up a younger female to take her clothes off down to her underwear and turn around for Brian to approve them for a party. Tim approved the young female. Let's see here. I got lost. Tim approved, and the young female was dismissed. The older female trafficker did not wait for any upcoming party and wanted to partake of WW now. WW immediately knew she was going to be raped if she didn't get out, as the female kept grabbing her forcefully. That WW fell on the bed. WW knew she had to get herself out, so she made up a story that there was a meeting they had to get to. Ballard said, "What meeting?" WW left Ballard and went outside. Ballard got upset with WW, saying, "Why'd you leave? We were so close to getting information." WW told Ballard she feared she was going to be raped and was upset he didn't help her. Ballard told her he would have never let things get that far. To which WW again felt bad for doubting Ballard and worried she stopped the opportunity for kids to be saved. So he's not doing what he said he would do, and yet he's guilting her into her actions that stopped him. Interesting. So when they were in the safe house in between the massage parlor missions, Ballard would answer his door in just his towel and still have her come in and talk about the op. Ballard kept saying, "You know I'm clean, right? I don't even get turned on by that stuff you see. I don't get a boner." WW asked Ballard why he still went on ops when he told everyone he was not doing them anymore. Ballard responded that Elder Ballard, meaning Russell Ballard, the acting president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, he sanctioned the couple's ruse, and it was Tim Ballard's calling to do ops. At one point, WW had to go shower and get ready for the op when Ballard said, "You can use my shower." WW responded, "No thank you, I've got my own." WW checked with her, saying he would leave the room, and she still said no. Later, while they were eating in the safe house, Ballard confided in WW that things with Catherine weren't the best, and now Catherine is his wife. WW asked Ballard if Catherine knew about the couple's ruse, to which he said she did. WW asked Ballard if she knew all the details though, and he responded that she is such a saint. She does not question, as she's willing to do anything to save kids. WW told Ballard that he should stop doing ops and be home with his family to heal, as his PTSD was very apparent and he needed to rest and be with his family. That night in Puerto Vallarta, when Ballard took WW to strip clubs. The last night in Puerto Vallarta was when Ballard took WW to strip clubs. Prior to this last night, WW had expressed to Matt Cooper that she was concerned about Ballard. She confided a bit to him that Ballard had been distracted, worried about her betraying him the whole time, and didn't protect her. Coop listened to her and said Ballard did need some help, but that was the extent. Ballard told WW she was to block for Ballard, and that the goal was to get some girls into the back rooms to ask questions and get phone numbers. So Ballard's telling her, we're going to get these girls separate in the back room, and you're going to do the same thing you did before when you got so many numbers. You're just going to get phone numbers for me. Coop, Matt O, and Jorge were all there as secondary in another part of the club. WW was mentally, emotionally, and physically compromised after what it took to get a couple's phone number at this club, and told Ballard she had to go back to the safe house. As WW was leaving the sting, she observed Jorge heading to a back room alone with one of the strippers for what was going to be a pleasure trip after the op. Ballard told WW she had done an incredible job and had done enough. After getting back to the second team's safe house, so they're at the second team safe house, not their safe house where they've been staying. Ballard explained WW was done and had a super successful trip, but that he and a couple others were going back to check out one more spot. They were gone for a few hours with no blocker and no comms. Matt O and a couple other secondary team members were here with WW and kept getting angry and worried, saying, "This isn't right." WW warned Ballard that the type of conduct she saw with Jorge would take down OUR. WW told Ballard, "Either you tell someone or I will." Ballard responded, "You can't do that to me." To which WW responded, "Watch me." The next day, Omar and Ballard had a private chat with WW, telling her thank you for letting them know. Omar told WW the rule was that no operator should operate without their blocker, and this can't happen, so he would take care of it. Now, this is the first time I think we've heard of Omar. WW also learned that DS was one of the other operators. WW knew DS from her line of work and had deep affinity for DS. When Ballard found out that WW cared about DS, he told WW that DS had crossed the boundaries and had kissed him. Ballard told WW that DS was in love with him and that she was the one that when he met WW at the beginning in David Jacobs' office, he had explained was in love with him, and that's why he had to get a new operator. So, WW knows DS, really, really likes DS. And so Ballard goes, "Oh, well, that's the person I told you about that was in love with me, so I had to get rid of her and get another one." When WW got home, she immediately had nightmares and knew she was re-traumatized from her sexual abuse as a child. She was also paranoid of being watched or saying anything about it, and her boyfriend at that time, her current husband now, was very concerned for her. Ballard continued telling her that he needed her for the next op, and that he was super excited because it was a really cool place with an amazing house and boat. WW told Ballard that she was re-traumatized and it wasn't wise for her to go on another op. Ballard said he would pay for her to go to his therapist, not a therapist, but his therapist, in order to see if his therapist would be able to get WW back out there. Ballard told WW she made the most difference out of any of the other operators. WW went to see Ballard's therapist, Kelly McCabe. The only reason I'm giving you these names is they're in the court documents, the exhibits that were submitted. Ballard was pretty persistent about her coming back out, and she told him no several times. Ballard told her she could maybe do a secondary, but then she was thinking, she said no to that too. Ballard then said, well, what if you become the female face of OUR? Ballard knew her dream was to be speaking on stage so she could say, oh my gosh, yes, I could still help the cause. Ballard helped the ruse by telling her they needed Ballard helped the ruse by telling her they needed to probably have better training for operators, so was going to have future training for it and to watch for it so they can get footage. And since she had kicked ass on the undercover op and was a survivor herself, this would be a huge thing. Before the training, Ballard texted her in July to tell her that he was pulling out of ops to be with his family. She told him she was proud of him. He had asked for replacement female ops for other operators. She told him she may have someone and recommended DM. WW sent OUR op. WW went to the OUR op training held in Salt Lake City as she believed they were turning things around. They had cameras following her around a lot. She gave them an interview too, and Ballard told people she would be the face, and this was for speaking. After the training, DM, who did not attend the official training, called WW saying she needed to talk to WW, but that she couldn't talk over the phone. It had to be in person. She told her she went to meet Coop and Tim for being considered for the position. But things happened and she wanted to know if it was normal. WW and others were not even talking to one another because of safety, so WW knew that why DM was nervous and scared to talk to her. So Tim did a great job of making sure that operators didn't talk to each other and they couldn't compare notes. DM told her Tim had pushed her up against the wall and licked her stomach, and then went on a fake op practice at a local strip club where he was taking pills while his son was there. DM thought it was strange and wanted to know if it was normal. That's when WW snapped and realized this was not normal. WW then started questioning her own experience. WW then called Tim and told him that she could no longer be a part of OUR, even as a speaker. Ballard was frustrated and kept trying to get her to come speak for another year. Ballard also invited her to a separate private meeting no one knew of, and that he was starting to do his own ops. WW didn't go and kept asking the status of the ops they went on, if they had rescued those kids. Ballard kept telling her it just took time and they were making progress. DM told WW that she had verbalized to Ballard and Coop her boundaries and that she did not want things and didn't need to practice when they dropped her. So they told her, okay, yeah, you can't be an op anymore. Operator. We don't need you. WW wanted to tell Matt Osborne of her concerns at the training anyway prior to this, but thought she couldn't trust anyone and felt so small compared to Ballard, as he told her he would deny everything if she said anything and she would be buried. Meaning, you can't say anything about me to anybody or I will bury you. And so WW was really really felt scared to talk to anybody. So they put WW's statement in here twice, so I'm just scrolling through WW's second statement. Okay. So, the next exhibit is the statement of DM, which is who was suggested by WW as an operator when Tim said, oh, I have an operation coming up, and WW was like, I can't be there. I'm not going to be there. So, I'm not going to do this one right now. I might do each one separately. Because I'm already tongue-tied. Even though I can read the words, they're just not coming out properly. So, I will do a second one later today. So, that was Plaintiff 1. And there are 5 female plaintiffs. So that was one. And I'll come back in just a little bit after I get my tongue time to recover. I mean, normally I can talk like crazy and it's just when I read and then I try to say it, even though I know what I read and I think I'm speaking what I should say. My eyes skip ahead a little bit and So that's the first one. And stay tuned. We'll have the second plaintiff in just a little bit. Okay? Thanks. Bye.